So the people that are my friends on Goodreads have noticed something a bit odd about my Goodreads goal this year. Complete side note, I friend everybody that friends me on Goodreads, so if you want to be my friend, there's a link in the description. So if you go to my Goodreads page, you'll notice that my Goodreads goal for 2018 is one book. And that has left people scratching their heads because I'm a booktuber, and why would a booktuber only read one book in 2018? The short answer is I'm not reading one book in 2018. That'd be physically impossible for me to do. So then why is my Goodreads goal one book? And I will answer that in 3 points. Point number 1, public reader. Well, what is a public reader? In Ariel Bassett's video about being a proper reader, she says that she is a public reader. Being a public reader means every single thing I read goes online for everyone's beautiful eyes to see. Being a public reader has its perks. You can get a community of public readers or booktubers together, and we can discuss the books we are currently reading or books that we have read, and it creates this amazing place we call BookTube. But unfortunately, everything has pros and cons, and being a public reader has some cons as well, and for me at least, it has caused this, what I like to call, looming pressure to reading. Now, like I said, public readers are surrounded by other public readers, and when you're surrounded by people who are like you or have similar interests as you, you find yourself, or at least I personally find myself, comparing myself to others, and this has led me to a lot of stress. A person feels really good that they only read 3 books in, say, September, and B person posted a wrap-up of them reading 7 books in September. Now A person watches B person's video and now they feel inadequate because they only read 3 instead of 7. This is how my mindset was last year. I was constantly comparing myself to everyone and seeing how I was doing compared to X, Y, and Z person. This created a looming pressure on myself, and it made me feel inadequate. It made me feel bad about my reading. It made me feel like I had to read more, and no matter how much I read, it was never good enough. And that brings me into point number 2, the Goodreads goal. Goodreads is a great place to share what you have read, currently reading, what you want to read in the future, and it is a platform that a bunch of readers are on, and everyone can just be excited for new books to come out, or reminisce on old books. You can look for reviews. It's a helpful place. But like I said before, everything has pros and cons, and Goodreads is no exception. Yes, it brings readers together, and you can see what other people are reading. It's very useful, but it creates more pressure for readers, I think. The main way it does this, I think, is the Goodreads goal. The great big Goodreads goal that either you love or fear. Now, I think the Goodreads goal is meant to motivate you. You know, at the beginning of the year, it asks you, how many books do you want to read this year? And you pick a number, say 50 books, and you say, yeah, last year I read 50 books. But the problem with this is every single year is different. One year you might be busier with school, you might just be starting university and you're trying to figure out how to balance things, and it just might be more chaotic. At the beginning of the year, it's kind of hard to estimate where you might be at the end of the year, what things might happen during this year, and you might not be able to accomplish your goal because of the things that occur in that year. But I digress. The Goodreads goal is meant to motivate you, but it does not motivate me anymore, at least. For me, it just adds more pressure, the looming pressure I talked about earlier, to reading, and it puts more stress on my shoulders because I feel like I have to read X number of books before the year is done, and I'm just constantly thinking, okay, I can read this book, I can read this book, because I know I can read these books in this amount of time. Reading is not meant to make you stressed and feel pressured into reading more. Reading is supposed to transport you to these magical worlds or give you more knowledge about a subject that you didn't already know about. Instead of that, my Goodreads goal, which last year was set to 50 books, made me feel pressured into reading more. I don't want to feel like that anymore. I want to feel excited to read. I want to feel like reading is fun. How am I going to do that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to point number 3, beating the system, or at least some of it. I have set my Goodreads goal to 1 book. We've come full circle, everyone. The reason why I've done this is so I can take some of this pressure off my shoulders, make me feel more free in what I can read and how I choose to spend my time. Last year, I was constantly beating myself up over the fact that I wasn't reading 24/7. The point that I'm trying to make is I have other hobbies besides reading. I like analyzing movies and TV shows because I find that interesting. I like acting, and acting takes up a lot of time when you're in a show. I have all these other things besides reading that take up time, and last year I was constantly pushing reading to the front when in fact I should have been enjoying the things that I was doing or other things that I had to do. I made myself feel guilty for not reading, and I don't want to feel that guilt. I just shouldn't have to force myself to read just because I feel guilty. Last year, I didn't care as much about reading the page as I did about flipping the page. That is a quote from Ariel Bissett, and I love it. This year, I want to enjoy reading. I want to analyze the books that I'm reading. If I read less books than I did last year, so what? Hopefully I'll enjoy the books that I read. So that is why my Goodreads goal is set to 1 book this year. Let me know down in the comments if you felt any of the same things I talked about in this video. Let me know if you went through something similar. I just want to start a conversation with everybody, so let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I will see you guys soon in another one of my videos because I post them every single Tuesday and Friday. I will see you guys then. Goodbye!